Hello everyone, I'm Corey Cooper, the DevRel Manager at Circle, and in this video I'm going to show you how to get started with user-controlled wallets using Circle's digital wallet sample app. This sample app generates wallets upon a social sign-in flow for end users to claim and transact with the wallet without ever having to worry about gas fees. This app was built for iOS and it uses a Next.js server on the back end to communicate with the Circle Programmable Wallets APIs in order to create and manage wallet activity. Before we get started, let me show you how this app works so you can see the end result. This is the home screen of the sample app. We have the ability to sign in with two different social accounts, Google or Apple. For this demo, I'm going to use Apple. So I'll click on sign in with Apple, put in my password, and on the back end, it is calling the Circle Programmable Wallets API to initialize this user control wallet. A part of the initialization flow is actually setting up a PIN code so that you can control the assets within this wallet. Only you will have that PIN code, so anytime you want to transfer assets out of the wallet, like withdrawal, there will be initiation of a challenge, and to complete the challenge, you put in the PIN code that you set up, and then the asset can be withdrawn. So only you can control these user control wallets. That's why we call them user control wallets, because the end user has the control. We'll set up this PIN code. And we will create some security questions just in case you lose the PIN code. You have a backup to retrieve it with these security questions. So we've got the security questions set up. And now we have our wallet. First thing we want to do is we want to transact with the wallet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to top up this wallet with some USDC on the Matic Mumbai testnet network. And then I'm going to show you how the beauty of this is you don't have to worry about gas tokens, because these wallets have the ability to tap into Circle's Paymaster to sponsor and cover gas fees so that you can provide an end user experience that is similar to what we see in Web 2 when you transact. With anything, you don't have to worry about gas tokens. So it shows the power of the infrastructure that we're providing to developers to build best-in-class user experiences. What we'll do is I'm going to go to my MetaMask wallet. Got 3 USDC right here. Let me copy this address. I'm going to send $2 worth of USDC to this address. All right. So the $2 worth of USDC is in the wallet. As you can see, I have 0 gas tokens in this wallet, and I'm going to show you how to do a gasless transaction. So I'll copy this address and I'm going to send that $2 right back to that MetaMask wallet with no gas tokens. And I'll choose my speed. I want to send it fast. Now it's prompted me to put in that PIN code that I use to set up the wallet and claim it. This is the beauty of the user control wallet. The user will only have this PIN code, so they'll have the ability to control any withdrawal of assets out of this wallet. So I'll put in that PIN code. And I completed the challenge. And so now it's going to initiate the transfer. Go over here. Okay, we've got our $3 worth of USDC back in the wallet. Let me refresh. That was very simple. We just sent transaction, 0 gas. We can go into the dashboard and check for that transaction. That $2, right, was sent on the Matic Mumbai network. Then we can go to our Paymaster and we can see that this transaction, right, is where the Paymaster covered the gas fees. And it shows the gas cost, the wallet address, transaction hash. This is the beauty of using Circle's infrastructure to build best-in-class wallet infrastructure. Now we'll move on to the setup. So I'll show you how you set all this stuff up. Make sure you have your environment set up correctly to actually run this sample app in your testnet environment and be able to inspire you to build some amazing experiences using wallets. Let's switch gears. So before we run through a demonstration of the sample app, I want to talk through some of the important snippets of code that actually handle the functionality within the application. If we go to the backend subfolder and drill down within apps to the API subfolder, we have the transaction, user, and wallet subfolder. When the end user is actually performing the actual social sign-in flow experience and you see a prompt that comes on the screen that says generate wallets, what's happening in the background is it's running through this route.js file that actually is making a series of API calls to the Circle Programmable Wallets API in order to create a user record, give it a session token, and also ultimately initialize that user account by creating a wallet address on the actual chain that we're passing. So for this demo app, it's for Matic Mumbai, and telling it the account type, which is a smart contract account. And then what it's going to do is it's going to acquire a challenge ID that will allow for the end user to set up a PIN code for that actual user account that's linked to the wallet address that it's creating, so that that PIN code can govern the withdrawal of assets within the wallet. If we switch over to the Swift code for the iOS sample app to see the front end stuff, the Swift files that are really important within the view modals folder are the authentication view model.swift file and the Circle wallet view model.swift file. So the authentication view model.swift file handles the social sign-in experience that triggers the prompting of the mobile SDK to come up for the end user to set up their PIN code. And then the Circle wallet view model.swift file allows for the end user to execute the actual initialization flow of passing within that form the PIN code that you want to set up when you create your user account within programmable wallets. This allows you this function right here to pass the necessary PIN code information to the Next.js server that's communicating with the Circle Programmable Wallets API to set up your actual account. And then this function here, execute challenge, right? This allows you to pass that PIN code to complete the challenges if you want to withdraw assets from the wallet. These files are the meat of the functionality that make the app be able to actually perform the actions that it's performing. So now that you've seen the app work and function and understand the features that are built into it, let's kind of talk through the tools that you'll need to locally run this on your machine. The first thing you'll need is a Circle developer account. This will allow you to actually create an API key so that your application can actually communicate with the Circle Programmable Wallets API to create a wallet and also manage that wallet's activity. The next thing you'll need is Xcode. Since this is an iOS app, there are a lot of Swift files that were written to be able to actually compile and build this app. So you'll need Xcode to be able to run and build the app locally on your machine and leverage the iOS simulator within Xcode to be able to run the app. The next thing is you'll need Node.js. We're running a Next.js server on the back end that communicates with the Circle Programmable Wallets API. So you'll need to be able to install and run that server locally on your computer. Make sure you install Node.js to be able to install the server dependencies needed to be able to communicate with the API. The last thing is you need CocoaPods. So CocoaPods will allow you to install dependencies to give your iOS app superpowers, like the Circle Programmable Wallets mobile SDK, which allows you to create an authentication flow for setting up your wallet with the PIN code and also protecting those wallets with the PIN code as well when transactions occur within the wallet. So make sure you do those things before you dive into cloning the actual GitHub repo and running the app on your local machine. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to set up the app so we can run it locally on our machine. So we've got all the prerequisites that we mentioned earlier. You set up your Circle Developer Console account, you've installed Xcode, you have Node.js installed on your machine as well as CocoaPods. And then you want to go to the GitHub repo. It lives within the CircleFin user account, and it's the W3S digital wallet iOS sample app. You can clone your repo on your local machine, and then this README file has instructions to help you get set up. But we'll walk through it and go through everything to make sure you've got everything set up correctly so you can run it successfully on your machine. What we're going to do is we've got the files cloned on our machine. We've got our Visual Studio IDE set up. And the first thing we want to do is we want to set up the back end. So we want to go to the .env file, and we want to make sure our environment variables are set up. We want to plug in our API key that we retrieve from the developer console, and we want to make sure the base URL, right, is pointed to the correct URL to communicate with the Circle Programmable Wallets API. So make sure it's api.circle.com v1w3s. After we have that configured correctly, we want to go into the terminal, and within the backend subfolder, we want to run npm install so that we can install all the dependencies, right, to be able to spin up this Next.js server that communicates with the API to create wallets and manage the wallet activity. Within the terminal, we can cd into the back end since we've got everything set up, and you're going to want to run an npm install. I've already installed these dependencies here. The next thing you want to do is do an npm run dev, right? And that spins up the server. So if you get this within your console, that your compile client and server successful, that means you successfully set up the server. Then we want to walk over to Xcode, right? And you want to actually launch Xcode via the Xe workspace file within your folder on your computer. Click on this and open up Xcode. Xcode allows for us to compile the Swift files that are needed in order to run the actual iOS sample app. Before you run this Xcode file, what you want to do first is go to the content view.swift file, right? And you want to make sure that you have your endpoint variable set up. This should be the same as the base URL that we have in the .env file for the Next.js server. And then set up your app ID, which you retrieve from your developer console. So if we go back to the developer console, go to the configurator section of the user control wallet and copy and paste this ID within the app ID. So it allows for your app, right, to reference the correct developer console when it's communicating with the user records and wallets that are created within your user control wallet section of your account. Once you have that set up, also you want to make sure too, since we have this social sign-in component set up, want to make sure that you've set up your Google service info plist so you can get all this information from your Google sign-in account, and you want to plug that information in here in the plist so that the social sign-in component is set up when you're running your app. So once you have all that set up, you can hit the play button, and what it'll do is it'll compile and build these Swift files and run them on the iOS simulator, and you should successfully see the app launch. There you have it. Your app has successfully launched on your machine, and now you can actually initiate the social sign-in experience that will generate a user control wallet. You can walk through the process. We'll click on sign in with Apple, and it should run us through the authentication flow. Yep, it's communicating with the server, that Next.js server, and the Next.js server went out and it made a series of API calls that prompted the mobile SDK to come up. So it's initializing the wallet. And so in order to initialize your first wallet for user control, you have to complete the PIN code setup to complete, setting up your wallet. Put in a PIN code so that we can set up the wallet. And now we're setting up security questions that we can use to be able to recover that PIN code if anything was to happen. All right. The wallet has been set up. So I went through creating a record within the user control wallet system, and then it went through the initialization flow, which also actually set up a PIN code for that wallet. I can go back into the developer console and I can see that wallet within the user account section. This is the wallet that I set up. Here's the ID, and then it shows the PIN code state. So I enabled it, and then I set up a security questions to actually recover that PIN code. So that's enabled as well. And so it's set up an actual wallet on the Mumbai network, and it is a smart contract account wallet. So that means that it can leverage the ability for gasless transactions. So if I want, I can copy this wallet address, go on to MetaMask, and I can send it some USDC, and then show you all two things. The first is the ability to be able to perform a gasless transaction, but also how the PIN code protects withdrawal of assets from that wallet. So only I have the PIN code, meaning that I have control over this wallet and all the assets. And so I'll show you that flow of how when you initiate an actual withdrawal of assets from that wallet, it asks you for the PIN code. So we're going to top this wallet up with 2 USDC. Here's the $2 worth of USDC that I just topped it up from the MetaMask wallet. As you can see, I don't have any gas tokens in this Matic Mumbai wallet. And I'm going to send it right back to this MetaMask wallet with no gas tokens. $2, right? Send it fast speed. And as you can see, the mobile SDK has been triggered. Behind the scenes, what happened was there was an API call that was made to the Circle Programmable Wallets API. Says, hey, Corey wants to initiate a transaction, and it sent back a response of the challenge ID. It's like, well, in order for him to complete this transaction, we're going to send him this challenge, and he has to complete it by putting in the PIN code that then will initiate the transaction. I am completing this challenge by putting in my PIN code. So I completed the challenge, and now the USDC is going to be withdrawn from my wallet and sent back to that MetaMask account. Let's see, refresh. Okay, it's been withdrawn because you see it's zero balance. Now $3. So it went from $1 to $3. So that $2 hit that MetaMask account. I was able to send it back. So let's actually sign back into this dev console so we can see the transaction, and then also see that the paymaster covered that transaction. That's why I was able to pay without any gas. So we'll go to the user control wallet transaction. We see it was a $2, right? This was an outbound transaction. And here's the transaction hash. This is the user op, which means that the paymaster covered that transaction. So what we'll do is we will go to the paymaster. We can see that most recent transaction was covered. Right. So this was the gas cost that it paid, and this was the wallet address that it paid for. So 0x4, let's go back, CEB. This is the 0x4 wallet, right? So the same wallet, it covered that transaction for it. This is how you set up your environment, run the application, and test out the experience. And I challenge all developers to test this out, because there are a few things that are really great about this. One, you're able to issue out a wallet to an end user where they have full control over the assets using the actual PIN code. Two, they are getting a wallet that actually is a smart contract account, so it can leverage the ability to perform gasless transactions. And those two things really can increase the adoption of people using Web3 infrastructure to perform transactions within applications. We're very excited about this, and we really want to see developers kind of build with this technology because there are a lot of amazing things. One thing also too, I'd like to note, if you're having trouble finding USDC, we've just launched our faucet. You go to faucet.circle.com and you're able to actually top up your wallet, right, with USDC. So you can select the chain, right? We're covering all chains that we have USDC deployed on, and we also have EURC as well. So you can easily, run this sample app and get access to some testnet USDC to perform your first transaction very seamlessly. Please feel free to take advantage of the faucet as well when you're actually running through this process of testing out this experience. Thank you.